Hello everyone, and this is BioPhoenix here, and today we're doing a top 5 list, and this time it's going to be on characters with the dumbest names. So pretty much, if there's a video game character that has a name that just made you go, what the fuck, that's a stupid ass name, well, it's probably going to be in here, at least out of the 5 random ones that I picked. And of course, I'm not just doing main characters, I'm doing pretty much any character that has a name that's specifically given to them. So I'm not going to be including names of like shit like Town Guard number 69 or Guy with Hat, you know, like none of that type of stuff. But just, you know, anything where a name was specifically given to them, and I'll even include ones that were mistranslated because that just tells me that the developers were completely okay with that name and they just decided to go with it. So yeah, that's really all my basic rules here. So anyways, let's get right to it. So the first one I want to talk about is a very minor character in Final Fantasy X, and that being Blappa. Yeah, Blappa. God. So if you ever bothered to screw around with the Blitzball stuff, you see that there's a lot of characters in that section that have a lot of really weirdly funny names, but probably the funniest one to me is this one, Blappa. It just makes me laugh every time I say it. Like, imagine just having a casual conversation like, oh, so what have you been up to, Blappa? So all you Blitzball players out there, you better watch out for Blappa, because if you don't, he's gonna blap all over your faces. And the next one we're gonna talk about is a character from the game Guilty Gear. And it's a fighting game series that I do really like, mostly for the fact that it has a lot of metal music and all the characters are named after like metal bands and rock bands. It's pretty awesome. So if you think about it, the naming conventions is very similar to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So you got some obvious ones like Slayer, and then you have Dizzy, who's named after the keyboardist, Darren Dizzy from Guns N' Roses, and then you have Kai Kisuke, who's actually named after 2 guys from the band Halloween, and that all right there is pretty awesome. But the one name that always kind of threw me off for the longest time was Soul Bad Guy. Yeah. Soul Bad Guy, as in one word. And yet, he is actually not a bad guy, so what the fuck's up with that? Why couldn't they just call him Soul Good Guy, or Soul Neutral Guy, or Soul sometimes good guy, sometimes bad guy? I don't fucking know. Now, before all the correctors try to get into the comments section, yes, I'm fully aware that his name was taken from Freddie Mercury from Queen when he used to have the stage name Mr. Bad Guy. I know this shit. But I still think it's kind of a lame name in general, because for one, when you hear the word bad guy as someone's last name, is that really the first thing you think of as Freddie Mercury? For me, it sure as hell wasn't. To me, it almost sounds like a name that they just couldn't think of anything. They're just like, fuck it, bad guy, there you go. And I personally think that if they really wanted to name him after a Queen reference, I think picking the bad guy option, it just sounds the lamest. I mean, they could have just called him Soul Mercury, and I think that sounds a lot better, and I came up with that in less than 5 seconds. Or they could have called him something with Rhapsody, though I suppose if they did that, people would be thinking that it's a reference to the band Rhapsody of Fire, which is still pretty kick-ass, but it would kinda have mixed meanings. But either way though, I do think that Soul Bad Guy, it's not the worst name, but for such a cool looking main character in the series though, I think they could have done a lot better. And the next one we got here is from a game that I actually reviewed not that long ago, and that being from Cho Nikki Zero with Balzac. Yeah, that's a thing that happened, and the thing is though, this name is actually one of the ones that's mistranslated. It was originally supposed to be the Evil Emperor Body, which even that sounds dumb as hell, but Balzac though, like, yeah, I don't even need to say anything. But yeah, this series is all sorts of weirdness. I can definitely recommend checking out the PS1 game if you want a trippy as fuck shoot 'em up. And the next up we have is another one from a game that I reviewed quite a while ago, and that being from Sugunai Atonement on PS2. It's an RPG that I actually find to be very underrated. It actually came out in the year 2001, so just like Final Fantasy X. But unfortunately, the game came out very close to the same release day of Final Fantasy X, so that meant that the game unfortunately did not sell very well. It even sold less than Shadow Hearts. So anyways, this game has a lot of characters with a lot of really weird and stupid names. I actually went over a few of them in my review, but there is one specific one that really sticks out to me, and it's like one of the most random ass NPCs ever. So there's a kid in the village, and his name is Shake. Like, what? Who comes up with this shit? I mean, unless it was mistranslated, but even if it was mistranslated, I mean, couldn't they just change it to something else that sounds a little less shitty? So yeah, not a whole lot I can say about this random ass NPC, other than the fact that I only remember them for having such a stupid name. Alright, so as for the final name I'm gonna mention in this video, and for anyone that has been a long-time viewer of my channel, you probably know what the answer is. I mean, it's a series that I just never stop fucking talking about, and that being the Deception series. But to be more exact, we're talking about Kagero Deception 2. Or what the game should have been called is Killing People with Dumb Names Because Their Parents Never Loved Them Enough, Part 2. Like, no joke, like, there is so many dumb names in this game that you could probably make a poke rap out of it. Delta, Helmet, Bloodhorn, Michlor, Killlor, Killbrain, Blackward, Bashburn, Bossgun, Birddick, Dorcas, Rattlefuss, Stats! But as hilarious as some of those names are that I went through, I have to say, the worst one has to be Goatbone. Like, seriously? Is that really the best it could have come up with? I mean, I get that he's like a shitty character that always has to run away from you in the game, but come on. But as bad as some of these names are, though, I still love the shit out of this game. And it also gets the honor of whenever I think of some of the worst names within video games, Goatbone is always the first one that comes to my mind first. So that pretty much sums up this video. So what are some characters that you find that have some really stupid ass names, but you just can't help but love them, you hate them, or you just think are just hilarious and you just can't get enough of it? So with that said, thanks for watching and commenting, and have yourselves a great day.